Now we will discuss about how the rights were defined in the Constituent Assembly and how the rights were given to different people, what were the demand of different people, what kind of rights they wanted, and how the discussion and debate took place before coming to the final consensus and to adopt the Constitution of India. So first of all, defining rights, you can see that there is a question mark, means how these rights could be materialized, how everybody can be given the right. So that was a major question before the Constituent Assembly, because Jawaharlal Nehru spoke in the objective resolution that the will of the people should be fulfilled, but there are a lot of diversity in India, there are a lot of opinion of the people of India, how the Constitution can fulfill the will of all the people of India. So that was a major question before the Constituent Assembly. So we will discuss about the questions of the people or the will of the people which has to be fulfilled by the Constitution of India. How were the rights of individual citizens to be defined? That is the major question in front of the people who were sitting in the Constituent Assembly. Were the oppressed group to have any special rights? So there were many leaders who were from the Dalit class, and they were demanding the rights for the Dalit people. So oppressed class should be given which kind of right? That was a major question. What rights would minorities have? Because there were a number of clashes between the majority and the minority, and the memory of the Hindu-Muslim right was still fresh in the mind of the people who were sitting in the Constituent Assembly. So what kind of the minority rights be there, and how the minorities could be safeguarded from the majority oppression? So that was also a question. Who in fact could be defined as the minority, but now who would be the minority? That was still a question, that whether the Muslims would be minority, whether Dalit would be minority, whether tribal people would be considered as the minority. So who would be the minority? That was also a question which had to be resolved. The answers were evolved through the clash of opinion and the drama of the individual encounter. So heated arguments took place on these issues, and there was a kind of drama in the Constituent Assembly because the leaders from different classes were putting forth their opinion. They wanted that some welfare measures should be there for their community. So a heated argument on these topics took place in the Constituent Assembly. So we will discuss about that. In his inaugural speech, Nehru had invoked the will of the people and declared that the makers of the Constitution had to fulfill the passions that lie in the hearts of the masses. Means Jawaharlal Nehru provided a roadmap for the Constituent Assembly, and he said that the members of the Constituent Assembly should work according to the will of the people. There were a lot of aspirations in the mind of the Indian people that now they will be given some special rights and they will be safeguarded from every kind of oppression. So a lot of hope was there from the Constituent Assembly, and how this hope could be fulfilled, that was a major question in front of the members of the Constituent Assembly. And to fulfill the hope of everybody was not an easy task. It was a very tedious task which had to be done by the members of the Constituent Assembly. Now the first problem which came in front of the members of the Constituent Assembly, and that problem was the problem of separate electorates. So here we will discuss about the problem of the separate electorate. On 26th August 1947, a leader, his name was B. Pokar Bahadur, he was from Madras, made a powerful plea for the continuing separate electorate for the minorities. Now what was separate electorate? The Britishers in India reserved some constituencies which were meant only for the minorities like the Muslims as well as for the Sikh. Earlier it was only for Muslim in 1909. Later on it was expanded and it was also given to the Sikhs and some other people. So B. Pokar Bahadur, who was a leader from Madras, he wanted that the separate electorate provision which was made by the Britishers should be continued. Whether it was continued or not, that we will discuss. This demand for separate electorate provoked anger and dismay amongst mostly nationalist leaders. But nationalist leaders were against this demand of separate electorate, and they told the people about their opinion about the separate electorate, and they got very disappointed on the demand of the separate electorate which was raised by B. Poker Bahadur, because separate electorate was a thing which was dividing the Indian society, and it was deliberately done by the Britishers because they believed in the policy of divide and rule. So these leaders observed the separate electorate as a dividing and rule policy. So this filled these leaders with anger as well as the disappointment. Most nationalists saw separate electorate as a measure deliberately introduced by the British to divide the people of India. That's why they were full of anger and dismay against the demand of separate electorate. They were against the demand of separate electorate, and they gave their opinion in the Constituent Assembly. So what they spoke about the separate electorate and who were in the favor of separate electorate, that we will discuss. So here are the quotations of the some nationalist leaders. We will discuss them one by one. The English played their game under the cover of safeguards. With the help of they allured you, the minorities, to a long lull. Give it up now. Now there is no one to misguide you. And these were the opinion of R.V. Dhulekar. R.V. Dhulekar was a nationalist leader, and he was from UP. So he was very aggressive against the demand of separate electorate. According to him, it was an act of mischief which was done by the Britishers because they wanted to misguide the minority community, and they wanted to separate the majority and the minority. So this was an act of dividing and rule. So here R.V. Dhulekar was urging to the people who were demanding separate electorate that they should leave the demand of separate electorate and they should join the mainstream. So this was the opinion of R.V. Dhulekar. He was strongly against the separate electorate. Separate electorate was a poison that has entered the body politics of our country. Do you want peace in this land? If so, do away with it. Separate electorate. So these were the opinion of Sardar Patel. He believed that separate electorate was a mischief, and he also said that the Britishers had left India, but the mischief was left behind by them. So this was a mischief on the part of Britishers, and in this way they have poisoned the politics of India. They have divided us, and now we are fighting against each other in the name of separate electorate. So he believed that we should leave the demand of separate electorate if we want a peaceful country, and if we want an united country, that is India. So if we want to unite the country, then we need to leave the demand of separate electorate. I believe separate electorates will be suicidal to the minorities and will do them tremendous harm. These were the words by G.B. Pant, Govind Ballabh Pant. He believed that separate electorate is a thing which is suicidal for the minority community itself. He was of the opinion that by getting the separate electorate, in this way they would separate themselves from the majority community, and for the entire time or for the rest of the years they would remain away from the majority community. They would not be able to mix with the majority community, and they would not become the part of the mainstream of the country. So in this way, in the long term, the separate electorate, which seems to be very alluring for the minority community, that was looking very charming for the minority community, but it would be causing loss to the minority community itself, because in this way they would remain secluded, or they would remain alienated from the majority community or from the mainstream of the country. So it would be a suicidal demand for the minority community. These were the opinion of G.B. Pant. And he also again said that there cannot be a divided loyalty to the nation. If separate electorate would be there, the people of India would be divided, and if we wanted a united country, So there cannot be a divided loyalty, because in this way people would be loyal to their community, not to the nation. So the loyalty of the people would be divided in the name of separate electorate. As a result, he was strongly against the separate electorate. Now, what were the other developments on separate electorate that we will discuss in these points? The problem with the separate electorate: the constitution would grant to citizen rights, but citizen had offer their loyalty to the state. Means if the citizens would not be loyal to the state, the country would be disintegrated, and country could remain united only with the loyalty of the people. But if the separate electorate would be there, they could not be loyal, and in this way their loyalty would be divided according to G.B. Pant. Communities could be recognized as a cultural entity and assured cultural rights. So instead of separate electorate to different communities, there should be the cultural right which should be given to different communities, and it was accepted also. Now there are cultural rights which are given to different communities, but there is no separate electorate at present. Politically, however, members of all communities had to act as equal members of one state, or else there would be divided loyalties. So if the separate electorate would be there, there would be divided loyalties, and all the members of the state should work according to the wish of the people, and they should remain united, and they should remain loyal to their state. Only then there would be a united and strong India. Not all Muslims supported the demand of separate electorate. Earlier, Muslim League and Muhammad Ali Jinnah, like leaders, demanded the separate electorate. But now, whosoever Muslim leaders were there in the Constituent Assembly, they were also not demanding the separate electorate. Many of the Muslim leaders were also against the separate electorate, and one among them was the Begum Ajaz Rasool. She felt that separate electorates were self-destructive since they isolated the minorities from the majority. So the same kind of opinion was also having there in as far as the Begum Ajaz Rasool was concerned, as the ideas were put forth by the G.B. Pant that it would be suicidal for the minority community, and she also believed that separate electorate would be self-destructive for the minority community. By 1949, most Muslim members of the Constituent Assembly were agreed that separate electorates were against the interest of the minorities. So maximum Muslim leaders earlier who were given the separate electorate, now they all were against the separate electorate, and they believed that the India could be disintegrated because of the separate electorate, so they left the demand of separate electorate. So separate electorate was not given to any of the community. But when separate electorate was not given to any community, how the rights of these minorities were safeguarded, and who were the minorities, that we will discuss. What other alternative provisions were made in the constitution, that we are going to discuss. We will need much more than this resolution. So these were the words by N.G. Ranga. N.G. Ranga, a socialist leader of the peasant movement, urged that the term minority be interpreted in economic terms. Means those people who were poor, they should be given the status of minority. It should not be on the number of the people. Minority and majority should be decided. It should be decided according to their economic status. These were the opinion of N.G. Ranga. The real minorities for Ranga were the poor and the downtrodden people who were there in India, mainly Dalit class people. He welcomed the legal rights and constitution was granting to each individual, but pointed to its limit. He also spoke about the individual rights which were given to the people of India, equal opportunities which was given to the people of India, but he was skeptic about that. He was doubtful about that. He believed that the people who are already very poor and downtrodden, how would they exercise their right in India? So he was very skeptic about the individual rights which was given to the people of India. In his opinion, it was meaningless for the poor people in the village to know that they now had the fundamental rights. So here he is talking about the backward and illiterate people of the rural India, because they were not aware about their rights and they don't know how to exercise these rights. So how these rights would be helpful for the backward and poor people who are living in India. It was essential to create conditions where these constitutionally enshrined rights could be effectively enjoyed by the people. He urged that there should be some kind of system, there should be some sort of provisions where the people who are living in the rural area, they can also enjoy their rights, and how it could be materialized, that we will discuss. For this, they needed protection, they need props, they need a ladder, said Ranga. Ranga also drew attention to the gulf that separated the broad masses of Indians and those claiming to speak on their behalf in the Constituent Assembly. He said that the members who are speaking about the Indian people in Constituent Assembly are not from the poor and downtrodden class, they are from the elite class. So how they are speaking about the poor people, how they can understand the problem of the poor people. He believed that the poor and downtrodden people should be given a ladder, should be given opportunity whereby they can develop, whereby they can use their individual rights. So that conducive environment or conducive condition should be given to the people so that the poor and downtrodden people can also enjoy their political rights. And how it can be done, that we will discuss. Then there was another leader, and he was from the tribal community, and his name was the Jaipal Singh. Jaipal Singh, he was a tribal leader and he was an Adivasi. Jaipal Singh Munda was his full name. In welcoming the objective resolution, Singh said he was an Adivasi and not expected to understand the legal intricacies of the resolution. So whatever the legal language which was discussed in the Constituent Assembly could not be easily understood by the Adivasi people, and he was also an Adivasi and he was not able to understand these things, but he was a good orator. According to him, any group of Indian people that has been shabbily treated is my people. According to him, that the maximum discriminated people in India are the tribal people and the community from which he belongs to. According to him, they have been disgracefully treated and neglected for the last 6,000 years. Means from the Harappan civilization, these tribal people were discriminated, they were treated very shabbily, so they should be safeguarded. And they could be safeguarded by giving special rights to these people. So he was demanding special rights for tribal people. N.G. Ranga was demanding special rights for the downtrodden and Dalit class people. So what he said, Singh spoke eloquently on the need of the protects of the tribe and ensure conditions that could help them to come up to the level of the general population. He believed that the tribal people are very backward, since they were not educated, they were not having opportunity to enjoy their rights. So a condition should be provided to these tribal people whereby they can enjoy their rights, whereby they can also develop. So that situation or that condition should be provided, and there should be proper safeguard in the constitution for these tribal people. Tribes were not a numerically minority, he agreed, but they needed protection. So he also said that the tribal people are not minority as far as their numbers were concerned. They were in large number, but according to the economic status and social status, they were very backward. So they should be given the special safeguards. Like Muslims were demanding separate electorate, and Dalits were demanding that there should be some provisions whereby they can use their rights. The same way the tribal people also wanted some sort of safeguard whereby they can enjoy their rights, whereby they could be protected from the developed class of people or from the upper caste of the Indian society, and they wanted to mix with the general public. It was the opinion of Jaipal Singh. This is the image of Jaipal Singh Munda. Jaipal Singh on tribal rights. So what kind of rights he wanted, that we will discuss. They had been dispossessed of their land, they had settled, deprived of their forest and pastures, and forced to move in searches of new homes. So again and again they are displaced from the land where they used to live. Like Britishers implemented the forest laws in India, and according to these forest laws, now the tribal people could not enjoy a freedom in the forest. They could not gather the forest products as well as the wood, and they could not graze their animal. So that kind of restriction was put on these forested people. And similarly, whenever there used to be any mineral which was found in these forests, these people are supposed to move from that area. So again and again they were displaced by the general public, because the tribal people used to be very backward. So he is talking about that. He made a moving plea for breaking the emotional and physical distance that separated the tribal from the rest of the society. Our point is that you have got to mix with us. We are willing to mix with you. Singh said he was not asking for separate electorate, but he felt that reservation of the seats in the legislature was essential to allow the tribal to represent themselves. So this was the viewpoint of Jaipal Singh Munda. He believed that there is a gap between the general public and the tribal people. Tribal people are not able to mix up with the general public. But he was saying that we are ready to mix up with the general public. For that we need a sort of development. We also needed a sort of representation which is not given to us. He said that there should be some reserved seats in the legislature, like in the election of MPs and MLAs, there should be reserved seats for the tribal people. And now there are reserved seats for the STs and SCs, for the lower class as well as for the tribal people. So this was the demand of reserved constituencies was put forth by the Jaipal Singh Munda, and it was for the tribal people. Now here we are talking about the depressed class. We were suppressed for thousands of years. These were the words of a leader, and his name was the J. Nagappa. He was also from South India. Some members of the depressed caste emphasized that the problem of the untouchables could not be resolved through the protection and safeguard alone. Untouchability was a curse in the Hindu society, and it was abolished soon after independence. So that was the work which was done by the Constituent Assembly. But according to this leader, it is not the only way to safeguard the right of the downtrodden people or lower class people. What else has to be done? Their disabilities were caused by the social norms and the moral value of the caste society. So he is talking here about the caste society. So generally upper caste people used to discriminate the lower caste people, and it was done not from today or tomorrow, it was done for years together. We have been suffering, but we are prepared to suffer no more, said J. Nagappa, who was from Madras. So he said that we were suppressed by the upper class people in the past, but here we have resolved that we are not going to suffer anymore. So we want the rights for the safeguard of these lower class people. We have realized our responsibilities. We know how to assert ourselves. Nagappa pointed out that numerically the depressed caste were not a minority. They formed between 20 to 25% of the total population. So Nagappa here was demanding some special right for the depressed class people, and he said that like the Muslims and other religious community, we are not in minority. We form a broad base of the Indian society, and that is 20 to 25%. But economically we are very backward, socially we are very backward. So there should be some provision which could safeguard our rights, which could uplift our status. Their suffering was due to their systematic marginalization, not their numerically insignificance. According to J. Nagappa, they were marginalized by the upper class people, and systematically marginalization led them to the backward. They had no access to education, no share in the administration. They are least educated. As a result, they are also having least jobs in the administration. So in this way, indirectly, he was also demanding for the reservation in the government job as well as in the constituencies. Apart from him, there was another Dalit leader who also demanded the same thing, and his name was the K.J. Khanderkar of the central province, that was the Madhya Pradesh. We were suppressed for thousands of years, means we were suppressed by the upper class for thousands of years, to such an extent that neither our minds nor our bodies, and now even nor our hearts work, nor are we able to march forward. According to him, his community was paralyzed because of the continuous discrimination which was prevalent in the past and which is still there in India. So he was against all this kind of discrimination. So they could not work as the general public or the upper class people could work. So he wanted some safeguards. After the partition violence, Ambedkar too no longer argued for separate electorate. The most important Dalit leader was the B.R. Ambedkar. But earlier he was demanding separate electorate. In 1930s he demanded separate electorate. But at that time a pact was signed between Mahatma Gandhi and B.R. Ambedkar, and that is known as the Pune Pact. Because he formed the Depressed Class Association, and Depressed Class Association demanded separate electorate, and Britishers were also ready to give them the separate electorate because it was an opportunity for the Britishers to divide the Hindu society. And Mahatma Gandhi fasted unto death against this demand. Finally, Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhi came to a compromise and they signed the Pune Pact in 1930s. And according to this Pune Pact, now the demand of the separate electorate was left by Ambedkar, and in 1946 or 7 he was not in favor of the separate electorate. The Constitutional Assembly finally recommended that untouchability be abolished. So finally untouchability was abolished, which was a source of the discrimination between the upper class and the lower class, and Hindu temples be thrown open to all castes. Earlier only the upper caste Hindus could enter the temple, but now on the argument or on the request of these leaders who were from the depressed class, that temples were open for everybody. Now there is no discrimination in the lower class as well as in the upper class. Everybody could enter the Hindu temple. And seats in the legislature and jobs in government offices be reserved for the lowest castes. So for the lowest caste like the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, now there are reserved seats for the these people in the government jobs as well as in the constituencies. And you know that the reservation policy which is following India, it was due to the efforts made by these leaders. So they are given reservation everywhere in the government jobs as well as the legislature is concerned, legislative elections are concerned. There are many reserved constituencies for these people, whereby the people of these caste and communities could contest the election. General people are not allowed to contest election in those constituencies. So in this way today we discussed that what was separate electorate and how it was perceived as a danger by our nationalist leader, how the issue of the separate electorate was resolved, and what alternative system was adopted, and what was that system? That system was of the reservation, that instead of the separate electorate, reservation was given to the depressed class, to the tribal people, and who were the leaders who demanded the reservation. So these topics today we have discussed. In the next lecture we will discuss about the center-state relations.